Hi there.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Winning Wednesday.
Welcome.
My name is Brandon Cott. I'm one of the criminal defense attorneys here at Adair Thurston. By this time, you probably already know that, and by this time, you probably already know this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I'm joined today by Gabriela Vega.
Hi there.
She is one of our immigration attorneys here at Adair Thurston. Today, we're going to be talking on some questions about immigration basics. How are you doing, Gabriela?
I am doing so good. I am so excited. Today we are talking about my favorite topic, immigration. I love immigration because immigration is about helping people achieve their goal of becoming U.S. citizens. And immigration is basically the law that deals with people moving and traveling and living and working legally in the U.S. So I'm very excited to be here. Brandon, are you excited?
I am excited.
I'm very excited that you're joining me because what we want to do is, as we've been telling people, one of the things that we're doing at Adair Thurston is wanting to help you become better informed legal consumers. And to do that, I think that it is important to give you basic information. So today we're going to talk about some immigration basics and Brandon, who is a great criminal defense lawyer who doesn't know as much about immigration law as for example, like me, is going to be here to help ask some of the questions that inevitably people have about immigration law. So let's get started, Brandon.
Absolutely. And as always, if you all have any questions as we kind of go, hi, Victoria, how are you? As you guys have any questions about this as we're going forward, just let us know and we will try and get them answered as we move. I'm sorry, I've just got to readjust you guys so I can see you both at once. All right. So, Gabriela, first things first, can you describe to us what is immigration? So, from a foundational standpoint, I mean, you kind of already have, but what is immigration in the U.S.?
So, immigration law deals with the ways by which we help people obtain legal status in the U.S. There are several types of ways to live in the U.S. legally. And what we're going to do, Brandon, is start off by breaking down immigration into two basic categories. That is immigration, what is called non-immigrant visas and immigrant visas. Okay.
So two main types, immigrant, non-immigrant.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And so non-immigrant visas deal with people coming to the U.S. for a specified period of time for a specific reason, right? So how many of you that were in university had friends on what's called an F1 student visa, on a student visa, right? They'd come from all over in the world and would get to know all these wonderful people.
Yes,
right?
tons.
F1 student visa, a specific visa that gives you a basic amount of time, in this case, duration of your education, so bachelor's degree, and then you are here during that time, and once you achieve that purpose, you then move to return to your country unless you get another type of visa. And so those are non-immigrant visas. Immigrant visas are visas or a visa that is used to live and work permanently in the U.S. Do you know what that visa is?
Green card.
The green card. Brandon!
If you guys can tell, I paid attention the last time I was here at Winning
Wednesday. The green card, or the lawful permanent residence card, is the legal document that gives people the right to live and work in the U.S. Permanently, right? Well, Brandon and I, through this conversation, will discuss just how permanent that is. But right. That's the immigrant visa. And then finally, the ultimate status for living in the U.S. is U.S. citizenship. And so that just means having all the rights to live here. And so we'll talk about what those rights entail as a U.S. citizen, from a lawful permanent resident, from a even from a non-immigrant visa holder. So we'll talk a little bit about those things as well.
Okay, so now that we've kind of laid some of the groundwork for what is immigration, what types of visas there are, immigrant, non-immigrant, how do people immigrate to the United States legally?
So there's a couple of ways, right? People can come here, like we said, for a specific amount of time, but with non-immigrant visas. And people can come under those to study, to work. Those are the types of basic reasons why they can get non-immigrant visas. To get some sort of legal status, permanent legal status in the U.S., though, there's a limited number of ways, okay? One of the most popular ways, and one of the ways that we help people become legal status holders in the U.S. through our office is through what's called family-based immigration visa. And through family-based immigration, that is obtaining legal status through a relative, through a family member. There are certain types of family members that can give you that can help you obtain legal status in the U.S. But in order to do that, your relatives have to be either U.S. citizens, which is, again, one of the benefits. And we'll talk about the benefits of U.S. citizenship. And then number 2 is lawful permanent resident card holders. Sometimes they can request people to come live here live in the U.S.
Well, and I was going to say this topic sounds kind of familiar. Do we cover a lot of this in our affidavit of support talk?
Well, we have covered a little bit of it in the affidavit of support, but the affidavit of support is a specific type of document that is needed when you are trying to do what's called family-based immigration. So you know how sometimes people in the media or in government talk about how people come here and they're becoming a drain on our society.
Right.
That's not true. In order for people to come live here, most of the time, if you're coming here because a family member's petitioning for you to come here, your family member is going to have to demonstrate financial capacity to make sure that you don't become dependent on government services. And that's what the document affidavit of support does.
Okay.
But you're right.
So it's part of that family-based immigration
correct.
system. Okay.
Correct.
So if you guys are interested in that topic, we also did a video of that, I think about a month ago. So maybe more?
The affidavit of support, I think, was a November program.
Okay.
Maybe
Time
not.
flies.
I don't know. It does fly. We have several videos. We've been doing this since October.
True.
We're very excited. We've been adding some really good information about immigration, criminal defense, estate planning, exciting program in December that we had, end of year business planning with Lisa Ward. So we're just putting out a lot of content. If affidavit of support sounds familiar, go online and look for our 30-minute video that specifically discusses that one document.
Right.
I mean, that's how big immigration law is.
Right, exactly.
That we can have a 30-minute program on just one document.
And we're going to have 30 minutes more. Many more times, kids.
A lot of times.
Okay, sorry I got us off topic.
No
that
worries.
happens to me sometimes. So, we've talked about how somebody might come to the United States legally. Now, more specifically, what are the steps of the United States-based immigration system, or the typical case maybe?
Okay. And so, as we said, there's different ways to immigrate. Family-based is one method. Employer-based, your employer can petition for you to obtain lawful permanent residence. There's also something called diversity visa, which is basically a visa lottery, right? Certain countries...
I wouldn't win that.
Citizens from certain countries can apply for a lottery, and a few numbers get picked out, and they're able to come live here. And then, of course, the big one, investment visas. People with a lot of money can say, I'm going to invest a certain amount of money in the U.S. and then get a green card as a result of that. But all of these cases have one thing in common. They have a similar trajectory, and that was Brandon's question. What is the process by these cases? The first step, in my opinion, is always trying to figure out, do I meet the qualifications to obtain legal status, right? And so one of the ways that our clients learn that is by coming in here. We talk to them, we ask them several questions about family members, employers, variety of things that they might then be able to use to initiate the process, right? And so once somebody decides, do they have the things that they need in order to initiate a process, for example, a U.S. citizen relative, right? Then we, as a law firm, and then individuals by themselves would then if they end up working the cases on their own,
right,
would navigate the system by gathering the right evidence that is needed to prove that they meet these qualifications, filling out the many forms that are needed to be included in this case, and then actively sending the case to immigration to say, hey, I think I'm entitled to a benefit. This is what I think it is. Please process my case. And so that's it, Brandon. That's the process. You talk to a lawyer, you determine what you have, you start the process, you wait a few months, and then you either get a positive decision or a negative decision, and go from there. But that's pretty much that's a immigration case.
Okay. Well, so from a lawyer standpoint,
Yes.
just an academic point. So if something bad happens after I send in that application, are there still avenues that I can go down?
So sometimes, for example, like we have had clients that will initiate the process on their own. And as part of the process that they initiate, they may forget to send something, right? In 2018, the U.S. Came out with a decision that, I'm sorry, I say the U.S., the USCIS came out with a decision saying that they could automatically deny a case if you don't have all the right evidence in there. Right. So
right.
Let's say a client doesn't submit everything, they'll get a letter saying your case is denied.
Mm-hmm.
If the case is denied, people normally have the ability to do an appeal, and that appeal, they have 30 days to submit it.
Okay.
So one of the ways that we help clients is if the clients have tried to do the case on their own and they have an appeal, then what we'll do is help them with the appeal, do research to see if it's going to be a winnable appeal or if the best course of action for that person is starting the case from scratch.
Okay.
Because some people, that's the only thing that's available is starting the case from scratch.
Okay. So again, I'm sorry, I got you off topic.
That's a good question. What is the case process and what happens if they deny it? That's a good question. A lot of times people think that we just do cases from the beginning. You know, I'm married and I want to help and I want to get my spouse legal status.
Right.
But a lot of times clients will come to us after they've tried to do a case on their own and it hasn't gone well.
Yeah.
We may still be able to refile and win the case because a lot of times it's about how you put it together and how you explain things. Right? That's what lawyers do. We explain things.
Yeah, well, we try. Okay. So now we've kind of done the scuba dive or the snorkeling of immigration, and now I kind of want to start scuba diving and asking about specific topics within the immigration realm. So as a U.S. citizen, we know that I am subject to the selective service, to the draft.
Yes.
How does that necessarily play in immigration world?
Well, so that's a great question. There's a lot of special considerations that people have to have, and especially right now, our world is in turmoil a little bit, and we should all be worried.
I'm probably going to Moscow soon, guys.
Don't say that. Absolutely not.
Boys like me don't do well in Russia.
No, they do not. So you talked about a very important thing. Right now, our world's in turmoil. People are scared. I actually heard that last week there was such a run on information about selective services and the draft that people actually crashed the website because people were trying to look at exemptions for the draft. So
I hear bone spurs work.
Let me tell you, only if you're a presidential
Sorry,
candidate.
kids.
White man.
Okay, so in immigration context, I'm sorry.
In immigration context, anybody who's living in the U.S., it doesn't matter if you're a U.S. citizen, a lawful permanent resident, if you're here undocumented, you are required to apply to selective service. Now, individuals who are not, for example, here undocumented, but are here on special non-immigrant visas. So, for example, somebody who's here as a student visa holder is not subject to that, okay? Because we recognize that they're here only for studying purposes. But those of us, even those of us who've made the U.S. our home, but did not have permission to enter in the first place because we've chosen to make this our home, we do have to apply for selective service. Something that people don't know about, and something that in years later, if you do have the right to apply for immigration benefits, can be used to deny you. So let me give you an example. Let's say that I'm a DACA kid, right? And I've lived here since I was 3 years old. And I have been getting DACA cards, and I hit age 18. I'm in between 18 and 26, right? That's the age for selective service registration. And I never register. Then I fall in love with this wonderful human being who's a U.S. citizen and who can apply to help me get legal status. The fact that I'd never correctly applied for selective service can negatively impact my immigration case because I didn't do my responsibility. So it is an important thing. I do recommend that people register for it and follow that law, because it can hurt you from an immigration perspective in the long run.
So actually, you kind of led me into what my next question was going to be for you, because you said the term DACA kids. As a criminal defense attorney, I hear the acronym DACA quite a bit. Number one, what does DACA stand for? And number two, what is DACA?
That's a great question, Brandon. So DACA is an acronym that stands for Deferred Action Against Childhood Arrivals. DACA is a program that was created in 2012 by President Obama, and it was created to help young individuals who were brought to the U.S. While they were under the age of majority through no fault of their own, without permission, and overstayed visas or came in without permission initially and just continued to live here. The program, which had several requirements about proving that you had been here as a kid, that you'd gone to schools in the U.S., was then used to help individuals get some temporary legal status in the U.S. Okay. Now, DACA is not a perfect program. DACA is a program where individuals basically announce to the U.S., hey, I am here without legal authorization. I want you to tell me, because this is what the actual process is, I want you to tell me that you're not going to deport me, and in the meantime, will you please give me legal authority to work in the U.S.? Okay. And so under the DACA program, these young individuals are vetted for criminal backgrounds. If they have criminal backgrounds, instead of being permitted to stay, they're deported, right? So young people that are under DACA are vetted very well. They are people who are normally not in trouble. They're people who've graduated high school at the very least, normally graduating college, and are now living here with the promise that temporarily they can work here and not get deported so long as they're continuing to live a criminal-free life. Okay. And these young people are, quite frankly, helping in a myriad of ways, right? Going to school, they become teachers, they become individuals that are working out in this world and are paying taxes. And so the DACA program, which is now under possibility of being rescinded and closed out, is helping a lot of young people have legal status in the U.S. and thrive. And I don't know, how do you feel about that program, Brandon? I mean, it's people that were brought here, just like, could you imagine telling your parents at 3 years old, hey, I don't want to go live in the U.S. without permission. Right. I will not go. That doesn't happen, right? Right. So it's a program that I think is important and it's, I guess people.
Part of it is too, it's important to shed some of the stereotypes that we kind of are taught about people who are recipients of DACA. and kind of how easy and fragile it is to lose DACA. You know, it's not an easy, simple thing, and one very minor slip up, you know, something that wouldn't harm your average United States born child. You know, we give them a slap on the wrist and send them back to school. That's not necessarily the same end result for somebody who's a DACA recipient. So you do have to sort through some of the stuff that we are told, because just to be blunt, some of it's not true. So it's really important that we kind of discuss this openly and we talk about what these things really are, because that's how we end up helping more people, right?
Absolutely.
So now coming down from my soapbox to talk about something less controversial, asylum. Gabriella, can you tell us about I mean, like, I know you all have heard the word asylum in the news. It literally was everywhere. Maybe 7 months ago.
Right.
Tell us, what is asylum? Tell us about asylum.
Okay. So asylum and refugee status type situations became something that became popular worldwide after World War II. And the reason that asylee status and refugee status became important is that we recognize that there are certain situations going on in the world that displace individuals, and that individuals from those countries need to be protected, sometimes in third countries, right? So for years, we've had this type of asylum status where people, at least from our perspective, if they reached U.S. soil, like the southern border, they could announce that they had an asylum claim, provide initial evidence, apply for certain authority to come live in our country because of the situations that are going back in their home countries. Over the course of this administration, asylum laws are being changed, and while we had made a worldwide promise to individuals who are being displaced by wars, natural disasters. I mean, we recently had this series of earthquakes happening in Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico's, they're U.S. citizens. They don't need asylum. But my point is that natural disasters happen, wars happen.
Well, we're looking at Syria, Rwanda.
And absolutely, and internal conflicts happen, and so individuals are needing protection from those places. What has happened over the course of this administration is that some of the prior promises that we made to refugees and to asylees have been changed, right? So instead of giving them temporary relief by staying here while their cases are being processed, we're now telling them, hey, no, instead now you have to stay in your war-torn country, and then we'll let you know if we're going to give you asylum status, essentially is what's happening. And so, a lot of what's been happening at the southern border, some of the people that are coming to request help and the opportunity to live lives free of terror and natural disasters are now being told that they can't. That's pretty much, I know that sounds really like, oh, that's pretty much what asylum is.
Right.
But that is what asylum is helping people.
Asylum is meaningful to people who are in danger and who have no other option or no other home. And frankly, their homes it's not like they're homeless. Their homes are being bombed or subject to the rule of dictators, violent dictators. So not the same thing as just saying, I think I'm going to leave and go to the United States, right? It's the last option.
Right.
So bringing a little light to the darkness.
Yeah. So a lot of heavy questions that we're talking about. But immigration is that, it can be as lighthearted, and honestly, this is immigration law in a summary, guys. It can be as lighthearted as helping a supermodel get a visa to be able to come here and model for Vogue. It could also be helping a victim of domestic violence or trafficking try to get a visa so that they can protect themselves. That's immigration touches the super wealthy. $1 million investment visa means that you're a green card holder, and it touches the extreme poor, people who are fleeing their countries because there's nothing there. So it's a weird field. It's very profound.
Gabrielle is also pretty deep, you guys. So that was good.
When you say deep, do you mean full of something?
No. And like, it's really interesting to me because sometimes people don't recognize the fact that those mechanisms, those legal mechanisms, are at use for both instances, whether you're super wealthy or super poor. In the same respect, in criminal law,
Absolutely.
Crimes are crimes. You're charged under the same statute, and it doesn't really matter. These are all the same frameworks.
Except that sometimes, and I think this is very true in both types of law, individuals that do not have as many resources are significantly disadvantaged.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So it can be...
Well, and that does bring us to a place a little bit later on, your immigration clinic, your citizenship clinic.
Yep. There's always good people trying to find ways to help people.
Right.
So,
well,
sure.
And actually, I want that to be my last overall umbrella question as we get close to 5 is, what is it that you can do to support immigrants, people who are interested listening right now? What is it that we can do to help?
Well, so I think important things are, if we have friends and family members who are immigrants who are interested in immigration, is sometimes as easy as sharing with them some of the videos that we're doing. The Affidavit of Support video is a great video to share with someone that can give them some idea of what things they're going to need to get to navigate this path. Sometimes it's about sharing our videos so that they know who to go to, right? One of the scariest things about when you are required to enter a legal process is that there's a lot of information online. There's a lot of people that are saying, oh, I know how to do this. I can help you fix this. But finding the right people who can help us, who we can trust with our very personal stories, is really the key. So ways that we can support them, sharing our information, sharing information about good quality legal services like ours, sharing with them information about pro bono or free projects. Our law firm, in conjunction with the American Immigration Lawyers Association, is hosting a lawyer fancy way of saying free pro bono a free
we always make it complicated.
We do we love our Latin.
We love our Latins.
So this free clinic, which is being held in Manhattan February 1st. There's going to be a 10 a.m. program and a 1 p.m. program, and we're going to basically help people who are lawful permanent residents who qualify apply for citizenship. It's really important. Citizenship is so important, and the differences between becoming a lawful permanent resident and a U.S. citizen can sometimes mean the difference between remaining in the country or not, right? One of the things that Brandon does with criminal defense clients is always determine, do they have a legal status that can be taken from them if this case is completed the way the prosecutor wants, right? And so I guess to that end, citizenship is really important. And so if you believe you qualify and you don't necessarily have the financial resources to hire a lawyer, come to our free clinic, February 1st. Everybody share that, though, with your friends and family, because AILA is a national program, a national lawyers association. And literally February 1st, there's going to be free clinics throughout the country in various cities. One in Kansas City that I know of, one in Wichita, and then in Kansas, our little town of Manhattan is getting one because of our law firm. So
can I just say, I want to interrupt Gabriella and say snaps to her, claps to her. I'm so proud of Gabriella because she does this kind of thing all of the time, and it really is out of the charity in her heart and the kindness of our bosses that we're able to do these kinds of things, give you guys these videos. And I am so ultra proud of Gabriella because it's not only a humongous undertaking to try and help as many people as you possibly can, but to do it for free. And a lot of people think that we just like sit around and like play board games all day. But it's actually a lot of work. And, you know, in hearing how much it takes to put together all of this evidence and submit these cases, I mean, for real, that's a monumental undertaking, and I'm incredibly proud of you.
Thank you.
And second to that, Gabriella and I will be doing a talk on February 20th.
Yes. I am so excited about this program too.
At 6:30 at the Kansas State International Students Center. And our talk is going to be your immigration status and criminal laws, formerly crimmigration. We basically want to discuss how immigration and criminal law come together, what that can mean for people who have visas and potential
student
issues.
Visa holders, J Scholar visa holders, DACA recipients. February 20th, 6:30 p.m. It's a Thursday night, I believe. It's at the International Student and Services, like you said, program. It's going to be asking Brandon questions about the criminal law process and asking how your immigration status may be affected by a criminal case. Very important, very relevant, and like you said, free information.
Right.
So.
And frankly, if you just want to meet us because you're so impressed by the videos
My
we do every
hairdos.
week, we would love to meet you. We would love to say hi.
Yes, we would.
Never met a stranger, so please, if you guys see us on the street and you recognize us from one of our videos, like give us a shout out, and we'd love to talk to you and hear from you. And last, next week is going to be Miss Lisa Ward, and she's going to be bringing you special needs trusts. So that's going to be an incredible program, and you will be interviewing Lisa next week. So I will be gone. I'll miss you guys already.
Yes, we're going to be talking special needs trust. That is for individuals who may have family members with special needs that need to determine how they're going to provide for them. As we become aging parents and have children or have individuals whose medical needs require some of our attention, how do we help those young people? So I think that's going to be a great program, probably talking a lot more topics than even I can think of right now. But Lisa Ward, smart lady, she'll bring up a lot of questions and bring up a lot of answers for you. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Give us a call if you have any questions about immigration, criminal defense. Brandon did a new mask, so check it out. We're looking forward to talking to you. Thank you so much, guys.
Have a good day. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.